Iko Nini. So kuna hii video nilicheki na the video ilikuwa very interesting. Ilikuwa ni wase walikuwa kwa ma3 alafu allegedly walikuwa na chant Ruto must go, and walikuwa na chant Ruto must go ile time kulikuwa na karao walikuwa na try to arrest I think one passenger, and in the process what the cop ended up doing was to arrest the whole matatu and take them to a police station. Na huu lazima nibaki nimeuliza huyo cop, unafikiria huku ni Kinondoni? I think Kinondoni iko TZ. Kuna vitu tufanyagi hapa Kenya, najua. And I don't know if this is where we are going, where people are not allowed to criticize. Sasa tumebaki tunataka kupeleka Kenya tusikuza KANU. Kusikuza KANU ilikuwa serious kabisa. Sisi wale tulikuwa watoi, like our parents used to warn us against saying anything about the president. Najua ilikuwa zile najua usiseme kitu yote. Tuko tunafaa kuimagine that Moi atadedi. Sasa hizi tunajua sisi wote Moi alikufa na yuko mahali pabaya peponi. Sawa. Okay. Wacha tuendelee. So wacha tucheki video.
Wantam. Bwana la huko. Simama hapa. Tufungulie hapa bwana. Tafadhali. Wote. Tunafanya nini apande?
So kile nashindwa ni with such a situation, is this supposed to endear us to the president? Like, what is this supposed to achieve? And this is the one thing ile mushindagwa na igava. And of course kuna sort of some the president does not know about this, but he's the one who created this environment. He's the one who created the environment where people feel like criticizing him is an offense. Najua this is the same environment that try to change the rules, social media and everything, and it's just nonsense. So watu wamesema Wantam, and you end up taking a whole matatu to a police station. What are you doing? The matatu haiko kwa biashara. You're affecting the economy. You're fighting the same thing that the hustler told us that he'd not fight. So this happened, and it's one of those things where you think like tuko in a like one of these two funny countries. Kenya ni nchi kundu, sijakata, but ni nchi kundu better than hizi zingine. Nacheki hizi zile zimetusurround zinakuaga za kipumbavu sana, so hatufai kwenda hapo. Kwa hizi zimetusurround. Cheki majuzi kuna vile iko nasemekana TZ wameban X, which is Twitter. Wameban Twitter because of pornography. Unashindwa pornography gani? Pornography ilikuwa ni the people criticizing Mama Samia Suluhu. So unajua like she got a lot of beating, especially after hizi offenses zili happen. Alafu kitu ni bamba na Mama Samia Suluhu ni she's just like the Kenyan one, and what she does is kitu naitwa nini, use religion. So like right now, because she's been called out ikikam to story na abductions, what is she saying? She's saying that she's doing the Lord's work and everyone else is doing kazi ya shetani. So mwenye lazima ujiuliza, police kia the ordeal that Boniface Mwangi went through, alafu kasikia the ordeal that Agatha went through. Do you think God would approve that? Nacheki, would God approve basically molestation? Would he approve staki kutumia hiyo, but understand ile like anaweza approve wanaume kufanya mapenzi na wanaume wengine, because basically that's what they were trying to do. So hii ni kitu moja ile mother, and she's using that and she's sticking by it, na inani surprise sana, because like alikuwa amejifanyisha vile ni mzuri vile aliingia mother. Mimi nilikuwa nafuatilia stories zake, so nilikuwa nafuatilia vile siku za kwanza vile aliingia, after ingie akaanza stories aka release Freeman Boy, and we all felt that kuna vile nini TZ inaenda kuchange, anaenda ku like walk away from hizi stories za Magufuli, because Magufuli was very alafu baadaye ameenda pakiwa who nini she is. And one of the things ile alifanya of course ni majuzi amefunga hiyo kanisa ya msanaitwa Gwajima. So alikuwa anasema hiyo that kuna watu wanafanya kazi ya shetani lakini yeye mwenyewe anafanya kazi ya Mungu. So swali ni akina Mafuele ile wakati wana dhulumu watu sijui kama tunasema wanawadhulumu kingono. Yes, wakati wanafanya kazi ya Mungu ama wafanyi kazi ya Mungu. Na cheki and hii pia ni reminder certain post ile nilicheki, na hii post ilikuwa ya uboy anaitwa nani, uboy anaitwa Tai Ngashira. Tai had written something that hopefully I hope it's not the truth. Najua hopefully I hope, and it makes so much sense that I'm afraid that it could be the truth, but na hope that it's not. So Tai alikuwa anabonga juu the fact that when a lot of Kenyans were arrested, they came out looking scared. Yes, so I think this was what he had written. Alikuwa ameandika the reactions to Boni ordeal betray something deeply unsettling. Yes, that we as a society have not yet come to terms with. The fact that many young men were sexually violated by the state during last year's protests. Then akaendelea, those who were truly abducted, not the staged ones, not the conveniently loud, you could see it in their eyes, a certain dimming, a terrible unspoken knowing, shame draped in silence, fear disguised as caution. The light in their eyes had fled, and in its place something hollow. One of the people I can say to me looked super scared was kulikuwa na this photo that had Billy, crazy Nairobian, na Faith, and you could see Billy was scared because the Billy story ni, you remember on the 22nd of June last year we made a lot of noise, especially on Twitter. I think it was the biggest Twitter space by that time, kuna watu 60,000, as people were fighting for him to be released. And then he was released at night, na ile place alipikiwa na Faith Odhiambo, and there was that photo and you could look at Billy and Billy looked really scared. So kuna you, and don't forget that as men this is something we never talk about. Then Ania kaendelea kasema we do not remember their names now, we never really did, but if you go back and watch the interviews from the days they were released, you'll notice something. Most of them never returned to the streets again. They were broken in a way we did not want to look at too closely. And now, and I know what happened to Boni brought it all rushing back. The body remembers even when the nation pretends to forget. I only hope that they found each other, that they built some kind of quiet community to hold them, because the internet is not kind. It devours pain and spits out hashtags. But healing needs something slower, something human. Yes, the internet, when I've seen a lot of people be accused of faking it. Mnajuanga even that ile raya iko inasema that me na Chaksi waga tuna gatekeep podcasting. Hiyo raya iko inasema hii story yote ya Boni ni fake. Boni didn't go through anything. Boni and you see that's the nonsense that we end up seeing. And it's the nonsense that we've come to accept. And to me, najuaga vile nasemaga freedom of expression is supreme. So he's allowed to talk that nonsense. Watu walibash watu wengi sana. Nilisikia watu wakisema that mse kama nani, naitwa nani? Watu walikuwa nasema this guy, what's his name? Otero was not abducted. Wanasema pia crazy Nairobian was not abducted. So kumekuwa na hizo stories zote. But it's the Kenyan way. Like we get a situation and then we start coming up with, oh, this did not happen, this did not happen, this did not happen. But it is what it is. Kilineza sema ni, yes, history ya Mama Samia Suluhu inafanya tunafikiria like what actually happened to these people. And yeah, it's scary. When you start to think about it, you start being scared. And that's why matime ukionaga nikiwa hapa nikibonga jo even like a party like ODM, because ODM ilikaa mika join the government na ikakuwa na with the oppressors. Utachiki na Sifu Mseka Sifuna anasema like he's the only, na Orengo they are the only ODM members left. Of course, as soon as I said that, Orengo lazima angeniangusha. Kulikuwa na photos za Orengo akiwa State House akiwa hapo na Ruto, and alikuwa ameenda kutafuta development. And it's a really sad state of affairs also that people have to go look for development, najua. And basically going to look for development is going there and telling the president from now henceforth we are going to do whatever you want and we're just going to be a rubber stamp. And that sort of rubber stamp is the reason why even The Standard walikuwa na hii headline yao ya The Godfather's Habit, ilikuwa like on the Thursday newspaper. Ile walikuwa wanataka kusema the way the whole IBC has been set up na ni mapeste tu wa Ruto na Raila. And I don't know, najua I'm still giving Ethicon the benefit of doubt, and but I don't know, like what I've seen is the legislative arm does everything that the executive arm wants it to do. The judiciary always tries, as much as Mubash judiciary nasema pia they play the same nini, they try to a certain level. Kuna a few of them that are independent. See, like the legislative ni kila mtu ni bure, wale si bure saizi ni wale wamekosana president, so now they're trying to be independent, but it's not coming from a good place. If you come to the judiciary, on the other hand, you can clearly see that a few of them actually believe we're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do this, we're never supposed to let this one person end up changing everything about the country. And yes, there's that. But the abductions, as we know, they're still a thing. Yeah, that's why tulicheki hiyo pumbavu ilikuwa imehappen majuzi to huyu udem ule alienda pakiwa arrested and akakaa for a few days. So yeah, kuna hizo maupumbavu zina happen. But so uko US na unatry kutuma do Kenya, baki umetumia LemFi. Na reason ya kutumia LemFi ni LemFi inakupatia the highest exchange rates. Alafu apart from that, juu ya LemFi unabaki umetuma $8,000 in one day. Ama unaweza tuma $16,000 in 1 week. Ama unaweza tuma $32,000 in 1 month. Hiyo ni up to 4 million shillings in 1 month. Na ni simple kabisa. LemFi app unaweza baki umepata kwa App Store na pia unaweza ipata kwa Google Play. Another reason ya kusign up kwa LemFi ni wewe ni IKONINI fan. Na umekuwa ukishindwa nizaje support IKONINI. Naweza support aje asi. Kuna vile saizi jo mfuko ni mbaya. Lakini need kutumia mother dose, so siwezi tumia IKONINI chochote. Kuna a very easy way ili unaweza kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Support your family na pia support IKONINI. Na unafanyaje hivyo? Unabaki umesign up to LemFi using our QR code. Baki umescan QR code. Kama si hivyo, ubaki umetumia the link ile tumeseti kwa description. Na usisahau the first $100 ile utatuma, wewe mwenyewe utapata $20 cashback. Alafu sisi juu tumekurefer, pia sisi tutapata $20. Unacheki, utakuwa umesupport IKONINI ndio tuendelee kukupatia the conversations that you like. Na pia kitu inabamba kabisa ni saizi kuna vile LemFi ina support both M-Pesa paybill numbers na till numbers. Inamaanisha unabaki umelipia madhako internet ukiwa majuu, unaweza mlipia stima bado ukiwa majuu. Unaweza make sure that madhako iko both connected na pia keja yake iko lit up. Na hiyo ni courtesy of LemFi. LemFi, international payments for everyone. IKONINI. Kabla ni malize hii story, hata nicheki story nyingine pia nilicheki, ilikuwa interesting sana. Because hii story ilikuwa interesting kwangu because it's one of those stories that only a few Kenyans get to experience this level of justice. This level of justice was not meant for everyone, unajua. And so hii story ilikuwa juu ya mother fulani alienda Aga Khan back in the days. Acha tuisikize.
In a landmark judgment, a Nairobi woman and her spouse have scored a major victory against a doctor and the Aga Khan Health Service Kenya for negligence. Today, the court awarded the couple 157 million shillings in damages following a botched surgery that resulted in the loss of the woman's cervix. The details of that story with Brenda Wanga.
So skia hiyo jo. A loss of that woman's cervix. One of the things that will happen in hii country ni the fact that bad doctors protect good doctors protect bad doctors. And this is something that normally you'll ignore till it hits home. And not just that, good medical personnel protects bad medical personnel. I always give personal stories, and I always say that kuna watu shainiambia that according to them, if Kenya was a country that respected human life, my brother would still be alive. And the reason he'd still be alive is after being involved in an accident where, surprisingly, it's the police. He was taken to a hospital in a police car because the police found him. Alikuwa amegongwa makarao wakampata akiwa kwa barabara. And when the cops took him and they took him to the hospital, the first thing that happened was the judgment. I remember I always talk about alcohol addiction. So he was drunk and the medical personnel were like, hata shughulikia mlevi. And what else happened? Afterwards, when they decided, poleni, hii story haikuwagi like one of those stories that I like talking about, but afterwards when they decided to deal with him, kuna mse alisema he needs to go for lunch, dinner, so that he can have the energy to drive the ambulance. Remember, now he's basically clinging on to life. And yeah, that a-hole said that. And what ended up happening is walimwekea saline drip. Like the ones that were hapa, walimwekea saline drip in the process as these people go for dinner. So the saline drip iko hapo na inaisha. And you know, Kenyan hospitals, they don't have all these drips like whatever. Ni like every patient gets one. So the process now, when the ambulance started moving, the saline drip ikaisha before they reached where they were going. That's how he ended up losing his life. And I remember I was so angry around that time. Someone had given me Ouma Oluga's number. And that's why, to me, all these people are the same. Ato Ouma Oluga, whatever. He'll protect doctors, but never the patient. And you know, and what are doctors without patients? I remember I even have his number till now. You can't kumbuka, of course. My brother was just another dead body. So who gives a fuck? And I remember after kusikia story nikamwambia like, I need to reach out and you see like what's happening with these things. Like a lot of lives are being lost because of that bullshit. As a medical personnel, you're supposed to even be ready to go 24 hours without eating just to save lives. If that's too much for you, you should leave the profession. I don't care how much you're paid. This excuse of, but we are not paid enough. No one is paid enough. No one is paid enough. I've worked in media. I've told people about working in media, and for example, Pescaro media hivi. And you'll have the superstars. You have the Jeff Koinanges. You have the Swalem Doys. And you have the what? And you'll find their salary is a lot of times more than yours. I'm going to use this example, and I hope this guy never watches this clip, but sijui salary ya Igunza, Patrick Igunza, but Igunza does a show with Jeff. I would not be surprised that Jeff's salary is at least on the lower side 15 times higher than Igunza's. And Igunza has to wake up like a man and every day and sit on that seat. Do you think he feels like he's paid enough? If he knows this other guy is earning 15 times more than him? No, he does not. I mean, let's even say it's 10 times more than him. Does he feel like he's paid enough? No. But he wakes up every day, he turns on that microphone and he laughs. That's how life is. Life is not fair. And this is kitu nikosanishaga nasi kujaga hapa wanakuwa ma life coach kwenye wanaambia like life, they have life figured out. And I'm always telling you, no one has life figured out. But one thing we can all agree on is life is not fair. So just because you are not paid enough does not mean that you should gamble with people's lives. Najua. That you don't get to do that. Just leave the profession. And this is something that is also an appeal to parents out there. If your kid does not want to do medicine, don't force them to do medicine. Just because they got an A, usifanya wafanya medicine. Baby wanataka kufanya course inaitwa baba alinituma. Unajua baba alinituma. Hii ni story tulijua na tulikuwa na Ian majuzi. So tukiwa na Ian tukapata na dem fulani, tulikuwa tumeenda Masai za Heineken. Afu dem alikuwa like, mwafu nakukumbuka, unanikumbuka kweli? Memory yangu agamba. Akaniambia, mimi nilikuwa nafanya baba alinituma. Okay, that's BA. And yeah, so this story, let's to go back. Poleni will digress from this whole story, but it brought back the emotions of someone died who should not have died. I don't care if they were drunk. You have to respect human life. We all have our choices, and especially as a doctor, you have to know that addiction is a disease. But this is not even about my brother. This is about majuzi pia tuliona mtu alikufa. Alafu that parent alikuwa amejam kabisa akamwa anaenda na mtoi wake. And it was the same thing. It was negligence. And it was the same shit of, tumestrike. So since tumestrike, wacha mtoi akufe ndio tulipwe. No, that means it's not your profession. It's not your profession. See, we do this film stuff. It's not even life-saving stuff. But if you know what we go through just to get that perfect audio or perfect photo or perfect what. It's like evil, like inakuwaga like we always want to give you the best product possible. Ushacheki kauja wote interview tulifanya na Abel Mtua akiboka juu Pascal Tokodi. The way Pascal Tokodi got so much into character that he needed therapy afterwards to snap him out of that character of being an abusive husband and being what. And that's what, this is something that a lot of people can learn from artists, man, and content creators. We give this thing 100%. Yes, unaweza tuchukia, unaweza like, I'm off, Mr. Know It All. No, kosa mimi know it all. Before is how Trump wamekosana na Elon Musk. Kuna mtu ashai predict your story hapa Kenya. I think kuna podcaster fulani, si ndio? Raya fulani anajitanga Prophet Abaku. Unajua Raya. Semanga Trump atakosana. Nakumbuka. Okay. Na Elon Musk, si ndio? Okay. Hiyo ile happen. So, wacha to go back to his story. Yule naruka kila pahali.
The nearly 20-year search for justice for Naila Qureshi has finally come to a rewarding end. Naila was admitted to the Aga Khan Health Service Kenya between the 13th and 16th of September 2006 for what was meant to have been routine treatment for pelvic endometriosis. The court was told that the first defendant in the case, identified as Dr. Rafik Parker, botched the surgery, leaving the plaintiff in severe physical pain and emotional harm. High Court Judge Alexander Muteti found that the hospital's gynecologist performed an unauthorized removal of the woman's cervix during a procedure initially consented for, the removal of her uterus and ovary. This act was deemed grossly negligent and a violation of the patient's rights.
So that happened. But now comes the other question I have to ask myself, because don't forget, we don't live in the most honest country. So this 157 million that she's been awarded, you have to wonder, is she going to get it? That's a whole other battle that she has, that she might have to fight. And that's just the system that we live in. It's a very dishonest system that now I'm not sure even if they're going to get their settlement. They might get it, they might not get it. If it's going to be paid directly, they might get it. If it's going to be paid indirectly, I won't say, you know what I mean by indirectly, inawezabaki imeleta shida. But hopefully the person who represents them is one of those Kenyans who also believes in integrity. Another thing is, the hospital, Kumuka, the case has taken 20 years. Do you think the hospital is just going to give them 157 million without a fight? They can start the fight. And then if they start the fight, what happens? The Kenyan court system will drag, can even drag for another 10 years. Alafu, maybe 20 years. And then, mother, maybe by that time, atakuwa amepass away. And so, I don't know. This is the country that we live in, man. And we need to hold each other accountable and everything. And as we do that, yes, before Nihepe, the same way I did the public criticism, let me do the public apology. And nilibaki nimepatana na Sifuna, and it was a good one, najua, cause nilimcheki tu hivi nikaenda hey. So nikamsalimia, akaniambia wewe ndio ulikuwa unaongea na kanirifa kwa dem fulani hapo, anaitwa like the assistant wake. And dem akasema like hakuwa ananilenga, it's just that they had a quota, so they wako na zile quota za podcast. After this they do this, after this, and then they had to travel. Alafu me on the other side, of course, when no one was speaking my call, I just assumed the worst, because I don't know, man, it's the Kenyan way, we have to assume the worst and hope for the best. So in the process nikaenda up nimewa judge, but maybe it wasn't that. So tulibaki tumeongea and wakaniambia that watakuja. So big up to Sifuna and the team. Kuna Kolo na pia kuna Karen. Asanteni kwa kunisikiza, mngenilenga. Hata Sifuna mwenyewe angejifanyisha anijui, but yeye mwenyewe hakujifanyisha anijui. So I guess ni Iko Nini.